Hello, Northwood baseball fans. The 2016 Northwood University baseball season is quickly coming upon us. I'm Travis McCurdy, joined now by second-year head coach Jordan Bischel to talk about the T-Wolves. And, Coach, we sat here a year ago not really knowing what to expect from the team, but you guys had a great year, right near the top of the league the whole season. After not having much expectations from around the league, you must have been pleased how the first year went.
Yeah, overall, just nice to kind of set a culture of expecting to win instead of hoping to win. Some things we could have done better, obviously, but for year one, not knowing what we were getting into, knowing we were a little thin in some spots, including on the mound, finishing tied for third was a good accomplishment. Obviously, the league was really balanced. 2 games lower in the standings, and you're in 5th, 6th, 7th place, 2 games higher, and you're winning the league. So I expect it to be very similar this year.
Yeah, you guys came in last weekend actually having a chance to win the league still. So you had some things go your way. You had some guys really step up. Let's talk about some of your returning players coming back. Go position players first. Dustin Lee is just a kid that has to be on the field no matter where he plays. He's just second-team All-GLIAC, great player, really a great leader for your team.
Yeah, I think this is like the 3rd straight year somebody's tried to make Dustin anything other than a shortstop, but he keeps finding his way back there. He's on base all the time, and in the way we play the game, we got to have guys on base at the top. He's on base all the time. That's number one. But he just plays the game hard. I mean, overlooked probably for his size. Just plays hard all the time. To have him back at the top of the order is huge.
Another infielder that had a really solid year, kind of under the radar compared to Dustin, was Danny Pulver. He had a really solid year at the top of the lineup, too. Another guy did a good job getting on base for you.
Yeah, I really hoping maybe this is Danny's breakthrough year. I mean, good freshman year, good sophomore year. Nothing to really complain about, but hasn't really been that impact guy. Hoping maybe this year he can step up and kind of like Dustin, be more of an impact guy. Dustin made a huge impact for us last year. Maybe this year Danny can make that jump for us.
Well, someone who transferred in last year had a great season for you is Grant Bridgewater. He split time behind the plate, but I know you and I have taught that this is a bat that you have to keep in the lineup every game.
Yeah, Grant probably last year walked away some days wondering why his name wasn't in the lineup a little more. Never complained about it, great teammate, but when he hit, I think it was 390 something, that's hard to do. Not a lot of players in the country are going to do that. So he's going to have his name in there a lot more. We are really deep at the catching position, but he's a good guy to lead that group.
Talk about some of the other guys coming back that you expect to have good seasons for you.
Tanner McCarn was a little up and down for us last year. Still battles some health things, but if he's healthy and on the field, he can really drive the ball and create some runs. Nate Boschma has really improved. Redshirted a couple of years ago, made a small contribution last year. He's really come a long way. He should be a guy at the top of the order that helps us, and then we've got some new faces to sprinkle in.
I was going to mention, I know you got a couple transfers coming in, particularly catcher, first base area. Like you said, you got great depth in that area. Talk about some of those guys.
Yeah, that's probably where new faces are going to be the most active, is catching, first base, DH. Cody Kaniski's a transfer from Northern Kentucky, very productive player there. Transfers in, he's in grad school now for his last year. Nick Black was actually on the Northwood, Florida campus and has made his way up here and is a very good player from the Michigan area. At one point was at Western Michigan. Good player Richie O'Neill's a junior college transfer who we expect to play mostly first base for us. But all 3 of those guys can catch, can play first base, and they'll hold down a lot of the middle of the order.
Looking at your pitching staff last year, Alex Lewandowski was really the one that had the breakthrough year, like we talked about with Dustin Lee. Tied the school record for wins in a season. Talk about how he's looked so far.
Yeah, Alex, we expect to kind of be our horse, our number one guy. But the other guy that falls in there is Logan Metters. Probably less talented than Alex, probably has less of those dominant performances, but really consistent, giving you a chance to win. So we bring those 2 guys back. Those 2 guys are going to anchor that rotation. Lose 2 quality starters in Luke Bivens and Sean Cunningham, but those 2 guys are going to come back through a lot of innings for us this year.
You also had a couple of guys out of the bullpen that really did some great things last year, and some of those guys like that are also going to be looking maybe to be more starters this year. Talk about some of your bullpen guys from a year ago.
Yeah, Larry Wood, huge breakthrough year. Again, kind of like Nate Boschma, had a redshirt year, struggled a little bit as a freshman, then last year kind of broke through as a sophomore. He continues to develop. He had a great summer last year in the Prospect League. He may be in the rotation, he may be out of the bullpen, but he's going to be an impact guy. Then Sean Larner kind of surprised everybody. Became a sidearm guy, not going to overpower anybody, but some huge innings. So those 2 guys, really valuable. But then our depth falls into place a lot better than last year. Still not perfect, but a couple of transfers, couple of freshmen, some different pieces, some young guys that have developed on the current roster. That depth is going to be really critical. Last year we had to count on those first 5 or 6 guys basically all the time. This year I think we're going to go a little deeper with that group.
The thing about the GLIAC, like you mentioned last year, was that it's so tight and so competitive, is that right now, I think sitting here today, we feel like we're a better team, but there's also a chance we might not end up with the same record and still be a better team because the league is so competitive and so tight.
Absolutely. I think that's a challenge for our guys. We were 20-12 in the league last year. That's not easy to do. We could play really good baseball and not be 20-12 in the league. So our guys have to understand it's not going to be easy. We had a long winning streak early in the season last year, and that kind of carried us when we had a rough series or two late. There's no guarantee you're going to win 8 or 9 ball games in a row early. So we got to keep grinding. We got to keep getting better. But it's going to be tight. There are some very good teams, whether it's Ashland, Grand Valley, but Wayne State had some injuries last year. They're going to be better this year. Saginaw's on the rise, and that's just in our half of the league mostly. So it's going to be tough.
But I also know you and I have talked too. You set your schedule up early on to be very difficult that by the time league play rolls around, you should be as prepared as you could possibly be.
Yeah, last year we needed to win some games to gain some confidence, and there were some games on the schedule that made it a little easier to do that than it needed to be, but it's not going to be as easy this year. We take a 5-game road trip to Tennessee, all against teams with winning records. Down in Florida, that first half of the week is really brutal. Some top teams, but that's good for us. We got to figure out where we're at. Either we're good enough to beat some of those teams early, or we figure out what we need to get better at and try to get it fixed by conference play.
Well, Coach, should be a lot of fun. Really looking forward to it. Thanks for joining us, and good luck this season.
Thanks a bunch, Travis.